Hello dreamers, I am the Tragic Spectre, and welcome to Graveyard Narrative. Today's topic is something that has so much potential, yet used the same way in fiction: cults. Cults are simply a group that believes something that's outside the norm, many of which in real life are scams. But let us see what kind of cults we can find in fiction. Without further ado, let us commence. Let's start this video with some examples of cults in video games. The first one I want to talk about is the indie game Sallyface. Sallyface follows Sal Fisher and his friends investigating a cult known as the Devourer of Gods. Their goal was to bring forth a demonic entity that will devour all life on Earth, which I don't know why they would want that, but then again, humans would do the stupidest things for very little reason. Near the conclusion of the game, it was revealed that the cult tried to kill Sal as a kid because he was prophesied to stop the demon, and lo and behold, the cult ultimately summoned their leader and got destroyed by Sal and his friends, as foretold. Even though the cult has been stopped in the end, the ending was still bittersweet, as Sal and his friends have lost so much to this vile group. The next cult on the list is the Eternal Order of the Second Death from Faith. The Eternal Order seeks to summon the unspeakable and destroy the world. Yes, another world-ending cult. The current leader of this cult is a demon masquerading as a human named Gary, who was summoned to this world through the Second Death Ritual. A ritual that I will not go into detail due to YouTube's guidelines. The summoning of the unspeakable happens during the Profane Sabbath, which of course happens on the 31st of October. Before the unspeakable could be brought forth to this world, Gary and the cult were taken down by the main character, the former priest, John Ward. The next cult is one that we don't fully know. We don't even know their name, so I'll talk about what we know about them. The cult that is currently running Hamlin Entertainment from Amanda the Adventurer. This unnamed cult began during the Middle Ages, with the company behind Hamlin Entertainment being the latest iteration, now continuing their activities in this modern age. Hamlin does this by using the Amanda the Adventurer show to lure children away from their homes to them so they can perform rituals on them to gain favor of demonic entities. It is always demons. The titular character Amanda herself was originally called Rebecca Colton, the daughter of the original show creator Sam Colton, now trapped in the show, forced to lure other children away from their homes for Hamlin's benefit. For those who don't know, Hamlin was the name of the town from the classic story The Pied Piper, where the Pied Piper lured away all the children from the town, so the townspeople had to pay them to get them back. Only time will tell if Hamlin and their malicious activities will be stopped. The last game, the one currently being played, is Cult of the Lamb. You play as a lamb, the last of their kind, and they're on their way to be executed by the bishops of the Old Faith. The lamb is brought back by a trapped being called the One Who Waits, Narinder. He gives the lamb the red crown that holds demonic power, and two ghouls. Form a cult in his name and destroy the Old Faith. With the power of the red crown and the devotion of their followers, the lamb succeeds, and after completing these tasks, Narinder orders the lamb to return the red crown and sacrifice themselves to him. The player has two options at this point: comply or fight. If the lamb happens to defeat Narinder, he can be taken as a cult member, and Lamb is now the being of worship. Unlike the other games where you destroy cults, in this game you run the cults, and you can be as malicious or kind as you want. If you notice a pattern, most fictional cults in media are demonic in some shape or form. I don't have a problem with the cults previously referenced. They work with the stories they're written in. So for non-demonic cults to happen, news stories must be made to support these different ideas. Here's what I've come up with. The first story is a satirical take on cults. Marcus creates a cult not to worship something he believes in, but to make money. He created an idol to worship called the True Master, made from ideas from books he has read. When he finally got followers, he had them pay for sacred clothing and relics, which are just junk he jumbled together in a few minutes. He told his followers that the true master will not tolerate any violence in his name, mainly so he won't get the attention and the ire of the police. After getting what he wanted, Marcus quote-unquote sacrificed himself to the true master. But in reality, he faked his death and moved to a new town, with all the money he conned being in an offshore account. What happened to the cult after his departure? He doesn't know nor care. The only thing that's on his mind right now is what scam he'll enact next. This is a reflection of what sadly happens a lot of the time in real life. The manipulative takes advantage of the gullible and desperate. Though it takes many forms, it usually ends the same way. The manipulative wins and the manipulated loses. We have seen stories where the cult nearly won at the end, but are thwarted at the last second. But what about a story that starts after the cult has won? The Children of Nature is a cult that worships nature and resents humanity for recklessly ruining the natural world with their pollution. The cult started as a nature activist group, but of course, like many things, it later spirals into something much more extreme. It started with sabotaging coal mines and oil rigs. Later, it escalated to arson. Then they brought forth a being that was believed to be Mother Nature. It's unknown if it is or something else, but it doesn't matter at this point. After her arrival, giant plants started to bloom in major cities across the world. Nature has taken back what was stolen. The story starts years after civilization has collapsed, in the ruins of a city now overgrown with plant life. The story primarily follows a group of survivors that tries their best to rebuild society, bring back some normalcy. They just need to be careful when making fire. It doesn't like it. The main character, Arthur, is a disturbed individual who is revealed to be an original member of the Children of Nature, but later left when the group started going too far. This isn't a story about humanity triumphing over a greater being. It's simply surviving in a world where humans are no longer on the top of the world. The last stories have been quite negative. How about something a little less cynical? This story takes place during the start of the American colonization era. For those who don't know, at the time you had to be of Christian faith if you want to stay around. The Followers of Truth is a cult this time, and the only one with a non-malicious entity in this video. The being of interest this time around is the Great Teacher, an interdimensional being that holds great knowledge, and shares it with those who listen. Medicine, crops, architecture, and much more. This knowledge has helped the Followers of Truth to advance past their colonies. Unfortunately, things didn't go to plan, and things turned for the worst. A cult member who is suffering from schizophrenia fully believes that the Great Teacher is a demon, due to his hallucinations becoming worse and worse. The disturbed man led the church right to the colony, and the church burned it right to the ground, leaving very few survivors. Luckily, the Great Teacher was somewhere else at the time. The survivors went to rebuild their home in a new secluded region where they can't be found by anyone. The Great Teacher was not evil and truly wanted to help others, but because of the time, anything that was not divine was considered demonic. An example of how humans like to demonize things they don't agree with. Something that everyone is guilty of at some point. Let's finish this video off with something absolutely terrifying. A hacker created a new kind of virus, one that can hypnotize people. He posted it across social media, and anyone who sees it will fall under its control and see it as a new god. It spread like a plague, commanding the control to take down anyone who doesn't bow to it. Chaos ran rampant across the globe, to the hacker's delight. That was until his creation came for him. He got exposed to his own creation. What was originally supposed to be a deranged prank has now taken him as a puppet. Though cults can take many different forms, people will tend to use what has already been done in the past, because it's an easy and safe route to go. But doing so is a double-edged sword. If you can't differentiate the cult you have made or the story they reside in, it will easily be buried under the numerous stories out there. Have fun and keep a cool head. Thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions or complaints, comment below. I'm sure we'll meet again in the graveyard.